Hi, I'm Nick Steele. I host the morning show on 99.5 The Wolf in Portland, and this week I'm talking to Jenn Hobby, who's the host of Jenn Friends out at Star 94.1 in Atlanta. She's been hosting that show for about a year. We're going to talk about what it's like leading a morning show. Jenn, I thought, was the perfect person to talk about this because she has a lot of experience on morning shows, especially like on the other side of the microphone. So she's been a co-host for a long time on The Burt Show, and then she had her own morning show where she was like the second mic, and now she's the host. She's the name on the show. I think you're going to get a lot out of this video, whether you are hosting a morning show or plan on hosting a morning show, because there's a lot of things that we address, like dealing with conflict, how to build your team up, when to have the chat, are you their friend, all that. So we're going to talk to Jenn Hobby about leading a morning show. Enjoy. How many people are on your morning show currently?
Well, our whole team is 5 people, but essentially there are 3 of us on the air, and we have 2 producers. One is a more technical producer, and the other is our executive producer, but she joins the show sometimes. Okay. So I have all the time 2 male co-hosts, Mark and Curtis.
So as the person with their name on the show of Jenn Friends, do you feel more pressure to make it good?
Oh, yeah, of course. Every break, I feel the pressure to make it good. And I definitely feel like overall, it's my responsibility to make sure that we have enough content and content containers to make it good so that my co-hosts can perform within those. But yes, I feel the pressure.
Did you get to choose your team, or was your team assigned to you?
The team was assembled for me.
So you've all come together, never done a morning show together. How did you go from not trusting each other to now trusting each other in a morning show?
Just spending time together. So whatever it is that's important to that person on the show, go do that with them. Mark is the in-game host at the Atlanta Braves. And so, when you go to an Atlanta Braves game and you see up on the big screen when they're doing the Kiss Cam and the trivia games and all that stuff, he's the one hosting that.
Oh, that's cool.
So we'll go to Braves games and support him in what he loves to do, or be able to go. Janine did a stand-up comedy class, and the end of her class was performing. So going to support her and watching her do that. It doesn't have to always be like quality time. It has to be quantity of time. So I would say go to coffee, grab lunch, do whatever you can in your schedule, even if it's just an extra 15, 20 minutes with somebody. Go on a walk around the building, right? It's interesting what can open up and what you can learn about people when you're just spending some time together. And okay. I think that helps you understand where they're coming from a little bit better.
Now, you said you just started in the leader role for the first time. What do you find is the hardest part about being a leader of a show?
Keeping everybody accountable and still being everybody's friend. Yeah. Because for the chemistry of the show, you have to be friends. And in a lot of ways on the air, everybody's equals because you're all getting each other's back, right? You're all helping each other and elevating one another. Even in the midst of conflict, you're elevating the show. So to me, when we're on the air, we're all equals, right? But in the leadership role off the air, I have to make sure to stay on top of making sure everybody's doing their job when they say they're going to do it and staying on top of the details and things like that. And our group is pretty good about it, but there are some times where that makes it feel a little awkward. Yeah. So it's like, I don't want to have to hold your feet to the fire, but I'm going to have to hold your feet to the fire for the sake of the show and everybody else.
Yeah. Every day you walk in, you have a show that you're about to start. How does the show get curated?
It's curated daily and weekly in advance. So we have a mapped out schedule. We use Google Sheets. So if that's something that you can do and everybody can access it from everywhere they live, certainly now, while shows are social distancing, that's the place where we do it. And because we're a new show, we have a lot of features and sort of benchmark things that we've decided on are going to go in certain places every single day. So content containers, if you will. So like every day we do a group therapy segment. And within that content container, it can get real creative and kind of all over the place. And it can be really anything in there, but we know that that's going to be at a certain time every single day. So I think if you're a newer show, you have to establish, what are you about? One of my favorite radio consultants is Tracy Johnson, and he always has these love stages that a show will go through, and in the new stages of a show, they love what you do before they love you. So come up with some cool content containers that people can get to know you within. And so he'll say, then you start to hear your audience say, oh, I know that show. I love it when they do whatever bit it is. For our show, at the stage of the game where we are right now, it's very scheduled within the content containers and what we're going to do when. The creativity comes within those.
Okay.
And the spontaneity comes within those.
Since it is Jenn and Friends, are you able to get someone's like bit that they've decided and you go, you know what, that's just not what we're doing. That's just not good enough. I need you to come up with something else. Like, I guess not good enough is a harsh way to say that, but like, no, give me something else that's not going to fit with our listener. Like, do you have ultimate say?
You know, I do. And it'll sometimes come out like, you know, let me think about that one. And let's keep, you know, like, I try to be real diplomatic about it. But I'm like, you know, let me think about that and let me see how we can develop that, you know, or I'll say there's something there. I don't know that that's it, but there's something there that we can come back to and revisit and go on. But I feel like I've been doing the content generation for long enough. I've been in radio. I just turned 43 this year, and I've been in radio since I was 22 or 23. Yeah. So I feel like I've got enough experience to say that's juicy enough to clench your teeth into. That's really not. Okay. This is good. This is not. And so, I also think you can start with something you don't necessarily think is all that good. You might think it's too boring or mundane, and then you can keep talking it, keep building. Somebody else has something, and then you end up, you're not on street A, you're on street F, but you got there because somebody brought up this street, you know, and you kind of meandered until you got there.
Are you comfortable critiquing each other? Like, let's say we all have crutches and, you know, doing the show with my wife, it's a little harder, but we've established, like, in the studio, if we're able to critique each other. So if I say like 20 times, or if I say degrees, or if my tease is bad, I allow her to be like, your tease sucked, do better. So do you have that same kind of like self-critique within your group?
I think that critiquing each other is the hardest part of this, because everybody's a performer and everybody's sensitive and everybody hears themselves differently than how the audience or how someone else hears them. So I think that's a sensitive place to be when you're in the middle of a show. I think a good rule of thumb for our group is to talk about it when the mics are off and when the show's done.
Makes sense.
Because sometimes it throws you off, and it's not great to get thrown off when you still have to perform for another 2 hours. Yeah. You still have to be on for another hour and a half, or have this funny conversation about Chex Mix. And you really just want to punch the person in the nose who just told you that you sucked in the last break. Yeah. You know? So we try to reserve it for after, but a lot of times I'll just jot down notes as we go. And, you know, I've got sticky notes and I'll stick it on pages of the schedule, and just go back to it later. And it's sometimes something where it's just a quick sidebar conversation, a quick coaching conversation. It's another time where I'll ask our producer to pull that air check and ask the person to listen to themselves back again.
Oh, interesting.
And usually when you listen to yourself back again, you don't have to have anybody else tell you. Yeah. You hear it yourself. So I would say that's the best tool for anybody in radio, is to go back and listen to your show. It's so hard to do. It's hard to make time for, because you're always planning for the next thing. And we are in the content generation business, right? Who cares if you were funny yesterday? You got to be funny tomorrow. You got to be interesting tomorrow. It's always tomorrow. But if you don't go back and listen to yourself, then you can't get better.
What should someone know about leading a morning show in the very first year?
I think you have to be a really good listener to your team, because in the hosting role, your job is not only to maintain the momentum and keep it moving forward and keep it going, knowing where you're going, knowing when you're going to get out, but also really being able to respond and develop the break and the conversation within the break. So if you're only thinking about what you're going to say next, you're missing the whole thing. So I would say, first things first, become a really critical listener. Be present, be in the moment, be in the conversation, listen to what somebody's saying, because there will be a nuance in their voice that will make you as the host go, why did you say it like that? Wait, you sound a little bit bummed about that. Or you seem a little bit upset about that. Or wait, that made you mad. And then you can poke and you can pull that out of them.
Yeah.
But if you're not listening and you're only thinking about what you're going to say, and I know you have a lot of things in your head that you're trying to say, right? You're like, get in the ID, get in what this program director told me to say,
right.
Get in the promotion that we're doing, get in the website name, get in the call, get in the
do it all in 2 minutes.
Informational things, and do it all in 2 minutes, and know how you're going to get out and punch out on the funny. And you got to get it. You're looking at the clock, and you got to get to this place to get the song count in, or else you're going to get yelled at by your consultant or your PD or your market manager. But if you're only thinking of those semantics and those things, you're missing the whole conversation. And that's where the good stuff is. That's where listeners are going to connect with you the most, is when you're really in the moment in that conversation. And it's the host's job to pull that out of the rest of the team, to pull out the emotion, to pull out the funny, to pull out those nuances, the Seinfeld stuff.
Yeah.
That the audience loves.
I find a lot of the leaders of morning shows tend to be the ones that everybody loves, like, let's say Jenn and Friends. So everybody loves Jenn, but they always come up to you and they're like, oh man, I really love Marcus. Like, he's my favorite on the show. Do you feel like the host kind of gets downplayed, I guess, if they're doing it right?
If they're doing it right, they probably are. They're the one that is the constant, the quarterback, the friendly, the comfort voice. If the host is well loved, people are coming no matter what they're saying, right? Yeah. It's like that comfort. They just want to hear their voice. They want to hear what they're up to. They want to hear that. But the remarkable things should come from the other personalities on the show. They're going to be like sometimes the more dynamic storylines, or the sarcastic person. If you have a sarcastic, funny person on the show that's like maybe a third mic person, they'll get a lot of attention from the audience when you meet audience members out there. But they're not the only reason people tune in. So you just have to remember that. Yeah. Like, they are a part of the mix, and it's part of that ensemble cast that makes it work. And what's cool about having an ensemble cast is your audience is going to connect with each person differently. Mm-hmm. You want them to pick their person on the show, because it's somebody who's said an offhand comment and they're like, me too, that's my person. Yeah. You want that to happen, because if they're only coming to identify with you, that's just less people. Not everybody's going to connect with the host. As it's more ways to connect and bring people in.
2 tough questions, and then I'll let you go. As a leader this year, tell me about a mistake you made and how you fixed it.
There's so many. So I don't even know where to begin. I just screw up all the time. Okay, because some of them I have fixed and some of them I haven't. I have a late problem. So I always think I have more time to get things done than I do. And so I would say that's a mistake, because I do think as the leader, you have to be the earliest and not the latest. So I would say that part, but I'm trying to get better. I've been consciously aware of my ability to think that I can like curl my hair and do makeup and do, all the things, and still, so when we first started the show, I probably wanted to be everybody's friend too much. And now I think I'm able to strike that balance of like, hey, we got to have a tough conversation.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to start it. Yeah. Honestly, once those words come out of your mouth, then it's like, okay, well, now we're in it.
Yeah.
What is it?
What is something that one of your leaders on your morning show, mistake that they've made that has taught you a lesson?
You cannot be the person who is do as I say, not as I do. And that comes with all the things, whether that's, stepping up to do things for the rest of the radio station, for clients, for listeners, for events. If you set rules as the leader, you have to also follow those rules. So being prepared, coming to the table ready, all of those things. You can't expect your team to do it if you're not going to do it.
What else do I need to know about leading a morning show? What are the tips do you have for me as I'm heading out into the world going, all right, me and the team are going to do this. Me and my friends are going to handle this. What's something else I should know?
I would say keep in mind who's listening. I always try to talk to the audience as a singular person who's listening. It's not like all of you guys or everyone within the sound of my voice. You're really connecting with people as individuals. And so thinking of the show, what are you doing to make their day better? And just trying to keep that in mind. What are you sharing with them? Whether that's information, whether that's inspiration, whether that's your personal life in a quirky way they connect and feel less alone. Just keeping them in mind and making it the show about them and not about you.
Jenn, how can we find you on social media? How can we follow you?
It's Jenn with 2 N's and Hobby, Hobby. And it's Jenn Hobby everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the things. And star941atlanta.com.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You're a great interviewer, and I'm stealing all your questions.
Tell my boss that. I want to make sure I record this and send that to him.